Part 150. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1491. On the night of December 24, 1995, Christmas Eve, goose feather-sized snowflakes painted all the shops in Diagon Alley white. There won't be any business tonight, many shops are closed. There are also some people who live in the store, gathering together to drink, chat, and give each other gifts. They sincerely wished each other Merry Christmas, and then added Gong 11 Fa Cai. Europeans do not have the habit of saying congratulations on getting rich. This is what Xiaoming often said after he arrived, causing a wave of people to follow suit. I don't know how long I can hold on. In Ollivander's wand shop, Mr. Ollivander excitedly hugged Yin Xiaoming, the clone of Yu Yu, and kissed him twice. Succeeded. I succeeded. Ha 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 ha, from now on I will be the greatest wand master. Ha ha ha, cough cough cough. Xiaoming pushed it away with a look of disgust on his face. It would be fine if this guy was a beauty, an old man with wrinkles on his face that could be seen in the fields. Xiaoming didn't want to be so affectionate with him. Mr. Ollivander, who was older, laughed a few times and accidentally choked on his own saliva, which made his face turn red. Of course, Xiaoming can completely understand his excitement. It took Mr. Ollivander a year and a half to finally prove Xiaoming's two conjectures. First, the shape of the wand has an impact on the power of the wand. Second, the material of the wand can indeed be made of a variety of woods. The third conjecture, regarding the matching of the stick core, has not been tested yet. Mr. Ollivander feels that this conjecture makes some sense, but it will be extremely difficult and will require more time to study. The so-called successful test does not mean that he has solved all the problems. Rather, it means that he achieved staged success. Ollivander discovered that there are 5 wand shapes that can perform different functions. In addition, he also confirmed that the combination of 3 materials can make a very distinctive wand. This proves that this path is absolutely feasible. Therefore, he was equally confident in Xiaoming's third guess. This is knowledge that can be studied in depth for a lifetime. As long as he makes some achievements in this area, Mr. Ollivander becoming the greatest wand master in history is by no means a pipe dream. On Christmas Eve, perhaps it was a gift from Santa Claus that allowed him to successfully complete the preliminary test. Harry Potter is a magical world, and maybe there really is a Santa Claus. Moreover, Xiaoming actually succeeded long before he succeeded. This is not to say how talented Xiaoming is in making wands, but that Xiaoming can easily complete many things that are difficult for Mr. Ollivander to do. The main reason is that Xiaoming can use the wood escape ability of his follower Fox Demon Karama to control the growth and shape of wood at will. Take the shape of the wand, for example. Mr. Ollivander needs to polish the carved wood and make it into a certain shape, which will inevitably cause some damage to the material. But Xiaoming can make the wood directly form that shape when it grows. Purely natural and pollution-free, the effect is much better than that of the store manager. The problem of material matching is even more so. Mr. Ollivander discovered that it was useless to join different pieces of wood directly together. They must be allowed to fuse and grow together. This kind of thing can be solved by grafting in the Muggle world. In the world of magicians, it's basically the same, except with the blessing of magic. Xiaoming can directly make different woods grow together. Therefore, Mr. Ollivander's idea needs to be implemented slowly, but Xiaoming has already secretly completed it. Xiaoming can even take a step further in the field of stick cores. Thanks to the secret technique of Earth Resentment U and the ability of the Chimera Ant Yuppie, coupled with the powerful talents of the Zerg, it is very easy for Xiaoming to generate animal-like materials. Even if he fuses different animal tissues together, such as fusing the heart nerves of a fire dragon with the tail feathers of a phoenix, he can do it. This is something that even Mr. Ollivander has a headache about. The reason why he has never tested the combination of rod core materials is because he felt it was difficult. Starting with the easy stuff and then the tough stuff, he chose to conquer the other two conjectures first. After those two studies are well known, we can then start to study the problem of rod core matching. Although he didn't do it, he usually made some ideas. With his wealth of knowledge and experience, 30% of his ideas are reliable. Ollivander couldn't do it, so Xiaoming quietly did it himself. And it goes further. Xiaoming has already started researching ways to fuse the animal-like core of the wand with the plant-like wood. Ollivander probably wouldn't even dare to think about such a thing. And Xiaoming can really do it through his own abilities. At present, this new conjecture is still in preliminary experiments. But Xiaoming is already quite proficient in the original three directions. He can even grow a wand directly from the palm of his hand at will. This is the most perfect form. But considering Mr. Ollivander's face, Xiaoming has never shown this ability in front of others. Mainly because I'm afraid the old man won't be able to bear it. One side might steal the title of greatest wand master. It was too much to take away this opportunity to leave a name in the history of magic. On the other hand, Xiaoming didn't want to dampen his confidence. Because what he can do, Ollivander can never do. It would be useless even if he was transformed into a bug human. As a wand maker, there is a realm that you can never reach. What a terrible feeling that is. I worked in his shop, learned so much knowledge from him, and made a lot of money. How could I stab him in the back? It is better to be kind. Besides, those so-called honors are meaningless to Xiaoming. He is not from this world. Looking at the old man who was cheering like a child with a smile, Xiaoming felt an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. It was as if his own child was admitted to a good university. Anyway, after a year and a half of getting along, the relationship between the two is really good. Moreover, from the actual age, Xiaoming is probably older than Ollivander. At this moment, an owl with a letter in its mouth flew in from the window and went straight to Mr. Ollivander. At the same time, the leader's right guard, who was playing with the thestrals with Luna in the Forbidden Forest, also welcomed the simultaneous visit of several owls. What? You know who is attacking Azkaban prison? Ollivander was extremely shocked. The old man was just happy, but when he suddenly received such news, he felt like a bucket of cold water was poured on his head. Once this news came out, the magic world might not have the time to pay attention to their success for a long time. Xiaoming was not surprised by this. The Ministry of Magic has been preparing for this war for a long time. Although the right guard of the leader expressed his attitude of not participating, the news was still heard. The war finally started. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1492. In later generations, this battle that broke out on Christmas Eve was called the Battle of Azkaban. As expected, the arrangements of the Ministry of Magic and the hidden tricks arranged by Fudge and other major forces were all completely cracked by Voldemort. In short, it is a miracle with great strength. Voldemort has gathered a powerful army. Although there are not many Death Eaters at present, he has forced many magicians to join his camp with his great reputation. Many of them are controlled by the Imperious Curse. In addition, he has attracted a large number of magical creatures to help. For example, trolls, eight-eyed giant spiders, etc. He even got a few dragons. Originally, werewolves should also belong to Voldemort's camp. However, due to the activeness of Lupin and others, most of the werewolves in Britain have now become Silver Wolf Mags, or are waiting to become Silver Wolf Mags, and there are only a few werewolves under Voldemort. Another powerful reinforcement is the Dementors. They still join the Dark Lord's side as in the original book. Xiaoming also played a certain role in this. It was because Xiaoming absorbed a large number of Dementors into the underworld of Quafu that the Ministry of Magic began to investigate and study ways to control Dementors, so the Dementors chose to strike first. These Dementors guarding Azkaban suddenly turned against each other and caused chaos in the defense line of the Aurors, which allowed the Death Eaters to successfully break through the defense of the prison at the beginning. Various magic traps were also set up in the prison. All our people participated in the setting of the traps. However, due to the betrayal of the Dementors, these traps had almost no effect. At most, they delayed the Dark Lord for a little time to crack them. A large number of imprisoned Death Eaters were released, and Voldemort's side instantly increased its combat power. These people are all masters of magic. Although they were tortured in prison, they still retained a certain combat power. A very important reason is that in the days before the war, the Dementors who had defected to Voldemort supplemented these people with food and supplies to allow them to recover. Dozens of Death Eaters, led by Antonin Dolohov, Bellatrix Lestrange, Rodolphus Lestrange, Robistan Lestrange, Augustus Roquard, and others, vented their anger after being imprisoned for more than 10 years. Their bloody killings frightened the Aurors. In addition, many other prisoners were also released. They had no way out anyway, so they all stood on Voldemort's side to fight. Fortunately, Voldemort had prepared in advance and brought a large number of ownerless wands for them to use. Otherwise, many people would be unarmed. Many of these ownerless wands were bought from Ollivander's wand shop. Mr. Ollivander would not sell wands easily. He would always help wizards choose the most suitable wand for each other. He usually does not sell wands unless the customer comes. However, for more than a year, he has been studying Xiao Ming's conjecture. Scientific research is the most expensive. For this reason, he changed his style and was occasionally willing to sell wands in large quantities. Voldemort's people took advantage of this. Although Yin Xiaoming was always in the store, this kind of minion could not attract his attention. Besides, doing scientific research also took up a lot of Mr. Ollivander's time, and he had no time to help customers choose carefully. Even Xiaoming did not expect that his behavior would cause such a butterfly effect. Indirectly provided a lot of help to Voldemort's army. In the initial battle to break through Azkaban, Voldemort's army had an absolute upper hand, but then they were not so lucky. On the way out of Azkaban, they encountered an ambush by two groups of people. One group was the Aura reinforcements that the Ministry of Magic had prepared long ago. They did not slack off even on Christmas Eve and stayed at the designated location. When they received the news that Azkaban was attacked, they quickly used apparition to come to the periphery of the prison to intercept. The other group was the Magician Coalition formed by Fudge and the major families. Their discipline was much worse, and because of the holiday, less than 1/3 of the total number of people actually arrived. Voldemort had already inquired about these two groups of people. Naturally, he was prepared in advance. The Magician Coalition encountered the entanglement of Dementors. The average strength of these magicians was not strong, and only a few could use the Patronus charm. Dozens of Dementors completely disintegrated this coalition. It was really useless. The Aura reinforcements were much stronger, but Voldemort adopted the strategy of abandoning the simpler magic creatures and stuffed all the simpler magic creatures to the Auras. Not only the monsters rushed out of Azkaban, but also many of them were fighting guerrillas on the periphery and did not enter the prison. They seriously delayed the pace of the Auras. When the Auras finally dealt with these magic creatures, Voldemort had already run away with the Death Eaters. Using the port keys that had been prepared long ago, Voldemort and his party fled into a deep mountain forest. Unless the Ministry of Magic had the exact coordinates, they would definitely not be able to catch up in the short term. My lord, the Ministry of Magic seems to have done something to us, you. With a chance to catch her breath, Bellatrix immediately reported to her boss. Voldemort smiled proudly, I know. The officials of the Ministry of Magic dare not openly break the law. These things were done by Fudge in contact with several major families. There are poisons and marks. Don't worry, I have prepared them long ago. After that, Several Death Eaters came in a different form, took out the potions and props prepared in advance to solve the problems of the Death Eaters. This little trick could not be hidden from Voldemort, who had all-powerful hands and eyes. He even knew exactly what kind of poison the major families had used. Don't forget that he himself was also a master of potions. For this battle, Voldemort's losses were really not small. Although dozens of Death Eaters were rescued, including several powerful backbones. But Voldemort pitted all his allies. Dementors are special in nature and difficult to be eliminated. After interfering with the Magician Coalition, they will take the initiative to evacuate to the designated location. The problem is not big. But magical creatures such as trolls, eight-eyed giant spiders, and a group of not very strong black magicians will definitely not escape. They can only delay the pace of the Auror troops. In the end, they will definitely be completely wiped out. After losing this group of helpers, it will be more difficult for Voldemort to win over magical creatures. In terms of combat power alone, they are actually no less than the dozens of rescued Death Eaters. However, Voldemort is a pure-blooded person. In his eyes, these rescued Death Eaters with pure blood are much more useful than those dirty and smelly magical creatures. This wave is worth it. As long as these Death Eaters are there, his comeback is just around the corner. Thinking of the happy things, Voldemort laughed up to the sky. Unfortunately, with his current strange physical condition, his laughter is very unpleasant. How to say it? It sounds like the voice of an ancient Chinese eunuch. Very sharp and harsh. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1493. What is that? Antonin Dolohov, a Death Eater who was originally smiling, looked up by chance and felt that something was wrong with the starry sky today. The stars in the night sky seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. Could it be a meteor shower? More and more Death Eaters looked up at the sky. When Voldemort's laughter stopped abruptly, everyone had seen the situation clearly. Twinkle, twinkle little star, it's always old Dumbledore. These hundreds of light spots have come in front of everyone and revealed their true colors. They are all Dumbledore riding a flying broom. They faintly surrounded the Death Eaters below. There are many masters among the Death Eaters, and Voldemort is a top magician. If it is a false illusion, they can't fail to see it. But the hundreds of Dumbledores floating in the sky are real no matter how you look at it. More than 100 magicians are not surprising. Just now in Azkaban, the total number of participants on both sides was several hundred. However, more than 100 old Dumbledore appeared at the same time, which is very scary. For a moment, all the Death Eaters, including Voldemort, were in a state of confusion, and no one spoke. The scene was very awkward. Tom, Dumbledore was the first to break the silence. Stop it, surrender, and don't make any more mistakes. His persuasion to surrender was sincere. The laws of the magic world sometimes seem very loose, and surrender is not bad. The former great devil Grindelwald, who was defeated by old Dumbledore, has not died yet, but has been imprisoned. Although this person has killed many people. The same is true for these Death Eaters at the scene. They basically have lives on their hands, but they have not been sentenced to death. They were all imprisoned in Azkaban prison. If Voldemort is really willing to surrender at this time, the magic world will not kill him, and will deal with him in the same way. Maybe he can be treated leniently. But how can the unruly current great devil be willing to surrender? There is no ambiguous relationship between him and Dumbledore like between old Dumbledore and Grindelwald. It is impossible to be persuaded. What's more, Voldemort believed that there were still 3 Horcruxes that had not been destroyed. Even if he was defeated, he would never die. What's so scary about that? He woke up from his momentary shock. Although he didn't understand what tricks Dumbledore played, it was definitely not true. Voldemort was shocked and laughed wildly. Haha, after not seeing you for many years, you are still so naive. I am very curious, how did you find us? I confirmed that all the magic marks have been removed by me. Haha, Tom, you are the naive one. You must know that there are people beyond people and there are heavens beyond heavens. There are still many things you don't understand. Seeing that old Dumbledore was pretending, the Dark Lord was very unhappy. Don't think you can fool me with a little trick, Avada Kedavra. He pointed the wand in his hand and sent out the Avada Kedavra curse. Since these Dumbledore can't all be real, he can try it out casually. The chance of encountering a fake is very high. As long as a fake is exposed, the morale of the Death Eaters can be immediately boosted. Avada Kedavra. *N. Several top Death Eaters also thought of the same thing. Antonin and others took action one after another, and several Avada Kedavra curses rushed towards different Dumbledores. Petrificus Totalis, petrification spell. Reducto, crushing spell. Stupefy, stunning spell. Sectum Sempra, Shenfeng shadowless spell. The Dumbledores flying in space fought back one after another, and the spells they used were actually all kinds of spells. Moreover, not only the attacked Dumbledores fought back, but all the Dumbledores sent out attack magic. This kind of magic fluctuation cannot be faked. The Death Eaters were surprised to find that every attack magic was real. Their morale was quickly hit by more than half. This is not over yet. In addition to the attacks from the Dumbledores in the air, there are also countless attack magics on the ground flying towards the surrounded group of people. What are you still guessing about? Hurry up and fight back. The battle broke out instantly, and countless magical lights flew, collided, and set off countless fireworks in the night sky. It really had the flavor of Christmas Eve. What exactly is going on? Needless to say, it is naturally related to Xiao Ming. At the beginning, Fudge entrusted Dumbledore and the Order of the Phoenix to arrange traps to deal with Voldemort. They immediately began to brainstorm. This matter is not that easy. Voldemort and his elite subordinates are geniuses in the magic world, and ordinary magic traps can't do anything to them. People must have arranged countermeasures long ago. Facts have proved that this is indeed the case. Whether it is the Ministry of Magic or the traps of major families, they have not played any decent role. Of course, there is also the reason for the information leak. Just when the Order of the Phoenix was helpless, Lupin brought a powerful helper, Silver Wolf Magus. This group of werewolves who originally belonged to Voldemort can take this opportunity to rejoin the magic world. It is not a problem to receive awards for meritorious service. Silver wolves have a characteristic: they are extremely sensitive to smells, especially the smells of their own kind. Coupled with the blessing of the Silver Moon Wolf's divine power, they can roughly sense each other's position. The closer the distance, the clearer the feeling. This is not magic, but a characteristic of creatures. It is a natural superpower. So Voldemort's side can't find it at all. So, Dumbledore arranged for 10 Silver Wolf Mags to drink Polyjuice Potion and exchange identities with the prisoners. This action was carried out secretly without the knowledge of the Ministry of Magic, otherwise it would have been exposed long ago. Moreover, they did not exchange with major Death Eaters such as Bellatrix Lestrange. Voldemort was too familiar with these masters and was easily seen through. So the Silver Wolf exchanged with Death Eaters who were not too famous. Even 2 of them avoided the Death Eaters and exchanged with other criminals. In this way, even if it was found that there was something wrong, the influence of Dementors for many years could be used to cover it up. It would not be exposed. This inspiration came from Barty Crouch Jr. If he had not disguised himself as Mad-Eye Moody and sneaked into Hogwarts for a whole school year, Voldemort would not have been so easy to resurrect. Now the Order of the Phoenix has copied the trick of transplanting flowers and trees, which can be regarded as retribution. In the end, 4 silver wolf mags, including Lupin, successfully mixed into the ranks of the Death Eaters, and Voldemort did not suspect them at all. Then, Dumbledore and the members of the Order of the Phoenix, led by other silver wolf mags, transferred several times and quickly arrived near the gathering place of the Death Eaters. Arranged an ambush circle. As for the more than 100 Dumbledores flying in the sky, about 20 of them were members of the Order of the Phoenix who drank the Polyjuice potion and silver wolf mags in disguise. The other nearly 100 Dumbledores were multiple shadow clones cast by several ninjutsu masters, and they did have certain combat capabilities. It was impossible for magicians to distinguish the real from the fake. It also played a very good effect of preemptive. The Death Eaters and even Voldemort were scared. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1494. Soon, Voldemort's Death Eaters were torn apart and went their separate ways. The Dark Lord and several leaders were pinned down by the members of the Order of the Phoenix. Others fled in all directions. In fact, the number of wizards that Dumbledore brought to besiege the Death Eaters was only a little more than half of the number of Death Eaters, and they did not have such a big advantage. The reason why Voldemort's men were defeated in a short time was also due to the combined efforts of many factors. First, the difference in work and rest. Voldemort and his Death Eaters had just experienced the battle in Azkaban prison, and they had consumed a lot of energy. Most of the Death Eaters were not in good condition to begin with. After all, they had been in prison for a long time, and they certainly had not recovered now. The Order of the Phoenix and Silver Wolf Magus were both fresh troops, and they were well prepared, so they naturally had a great advantage in the fight. Second, the difference in morale. To a certain extent, the Order of the Phoenix succeeded in its plan, and the Death Eaters fell into a trap. It is hard to describe the shock that hundreds of Dumbledores brought to the Death Eaters. So the morale of the old Dumbledores was greatly shaken, but many Death Eaters had already lost confidence. The boss was clearly not very reliable. He was still laughing and thought he had won the victory the next moment, but he was slapped in the face and surrounded by people. It was obvious that Voldemort could not defeat Dumbledore. Because of the lack of morale, the Death Eaters did not dare to fight desperately. Those who had some spare energy were thinking about how to escape. The final reason was hidden means. Originally, everyone was a magician, and basically everyone knew what tricks they encountered and how to defend. But the Death Eaters never expected that the members of the Order of the Phoenix suddenly had a unique skill, ninjutsu. Except for the 5 deans, the other members only learned to refine chakra and 3-body technique. Even the basic 3-body technique, when used suddenly, made many Death Eaters flustered and quickly knocked down. Those shadow clones were even more powerful and appeared and disappeared. It is impossible to tell which one is the real one. Countless Dumbledores shuttle back and forth in front of you, just ask if you are afraid. By the way, among the 5 deans, Phileas Flitwick and Pomona Sprout are not members of the Order of the Phoenix, this time they are guest appearances. In addition, the Silver Wolf Magus is also a kind of existence that the Death Eaters have never dealt with. Their silver wolf form is very powerful, and they are like fish in water in the jungle. At the beginning, the Death Eaters did not know that a wolf would be an enemy, and they did not take much precautions. As a result, some were bitten on their limbs, and some were bitten on the throat and died directly. After all, there are only a handful of animagus among magicians, and most people will not be wary of animals. If the Death Eaters can form a formation, everyone can take care of each other and remind each other. This method can also be prevented. But they are in a state of fleeing, and those who are attacked by the Silver Wolf have no time and energy to inform other companions. Some people even deliberately don't say it. This is what villains are like. When they are unlucky, they also hope that others will be unlucky like them. This makes the Silver Wolf tactics work again and again. Antonin Dolohov was captured by several Silver Wolves of the Lupin family. In the original book, he was the murderer of Lupin. In this life, Lupin's own strength has greatly increased, and there are other Silver Wolf helpers in the family. A small Antonin is no problem. Moreover, Lupin is the only magician who can use telekinesis. Although most of his potential is used to make the virus of the Silver Moon Wolf God, the remaining skill points are enough to improve his combat effectiveness by a small step. Besides, this part of the Death Eaters released from prison also encountered a big problem, that is, the wands are not convenient. They can't get their original wands back for the time being, and they use wholesale products bought from various wand shops by Voldemort's people. It's natural to use this kind of thing to deal with people who are not as good as you, but when you meet a master, you will make a lot of mistakes. What's more, Mr. Ollivander, who was a bit black-hearted, mixed some immature experiments in it. The experimental wand brought bad luck to those Death Eaters. Any normal magician would not understand the characteristics of this new product. It would be a hindrance at the critical moment. Apart from anything else, as long as the timing of casting magic is a second or half a second slower, it is the difference between life and death in a duel. The reason why Antonin didn't die was because the Lupin family had a crushing advantage over him, so there was no need to kill him in the battle. Several other elite Death Eaters, such as Rodolphus and Robustan, were arrested. There was no wave. The Caro brothers and sisters mentioned above had been killed by Voldemort at this time. After all, Voldemort could not lift the punishment of the Sword of Reward and Punishment on them. As they did more and more bad things, the punishment of the Sword of Reward and Punishment became more and more severe, and Voldemort kept making excuses, so the Caro brothers and sisters could not help but start to suspect that they had made a mistake. In order to prevent the two from talking nonsense and causing trouble for him, affecting his absolute dominance, or betraying him and tipping off the Ministry of Magic, the Dark Lord took the initiative and secretly killed them both before attacking Azkaban prison. The number of elite Death Eaters was reduced. During the battle, only Bellatrix took advantage of the family relationship between her and Sirius, threw away her wand, knelt down and begged for mercy, which made Sirius hesitate for a moment. After all, she was his cousin, so he should not kill her if he could. As a result, Bella suddenly took out her hidden wand and killed Sirius with an Avada Kedavra curse. Just like in the original book. Other Death Eaters would show mercy at this point. On the one hand, it is to save magic power and facilitate their escape, on the other hand, it is to make a good relationship. If they don't kill people, they can ask for leniency after being caught. If they kill again, it will be troublesome. Only Bella is a complete lunatic. She doesn't consider the problem of retreat at all. She also kills her cousin who just spared her life. However, she didn't expect that in this world, the only plot character blessed by Xiaoming with the ability of Death of Friends, not Death of Poor Deist, is Sirius. He becomes the only person who can't be killed except Voldemort, only once. And the spare body has been carried by Sirius. Of course, he himself didn't know it, but Xiaoming used magic to quietly put it next to him. When the ability of Death of Friends, not Death of Poor Deist, took effect, the resurrected Sirius suddenly appeared next to his own body, killed the confused cousin with a backhand, and avenged himself. Voldemort himself was blown to pieces again by the combined attack of the five Deans, Dumbledore, Snape, McGonagall, Filius, and Pomona. Thanks to the existence of the Horcrux, his soul was able to survive and escape in a hurry by possessing a small snake. TNND, this resurrection was in vain again. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1495. The battle in Azkaban prison was called the Great Battle because Voldemort never came out to make trouble again. So people in later generations believed that Dumbledore, the greatest wizard of this century, had completely eliminated Voldemort in this battle, although he himself was always too humble to admit it. Having defeated Grindelwald and Voldemort twice, Dumbledore's reputation almost reached the pinnacle of a wizard. Hogwarts, the Order of the Phoenix, the Ministry of Magic, the Daily Prophet, and the Silver Wolf Magus clan also took advantage of this wave of rising reputation. Due to their outstanding performance in the Great Battle, the Silver Wolf clan became famous in one battle and became an existence admired by the British magic world. 8 clan leaders such as Lupin even received the Order of Merlin. The small mistakes that a small number of clan members had made were naturally laughed off. The Ministry of Magic wiped out their criminal records. Of course, this is limited to the priests and the 7 wolf generals who participated in the war. The 8 tiger generals who have already gone to Europe are not included. But they will definitely be affected. The Silver Wolf clan has made a name for itself in Britain, and the 8 tiger generals are looked up to by people, which also facilitates their survival and development. What happened to Voldemort's soul? Was he really beaten so badly by old Dumbledore that he has never recovered? Actually, it's not. The remaining soul of Voldemort, who was defeated and fled, was very unlucky to meet the insect-human guard Cancer Gold Saint Death Mask. He was thrown directly into the underworld for recycling. Again, the existence of Horcruxes can prevent normal people from completely killing Voldemort, but this does not include the existence of those who have mastered the power of the underworld. For example, civil servants in the underworld, such as Death Mask. Before, Xiao Ming specially allowed Death Mask to wander around in this world. After playing for a while, he was attracted by the Dementors in Azkaban prison. After all, the nature of Dementors is close to that of the dead. However, Cancer is very cautious. He did not take away all the Dementors directly like Xiao Ming did, but just observed and studied them secretly. During the final battle, he stood aside and watched, too lazy to care about the disputes in the world. In the end, when Voldemort's body was destroyed and his remaining soul escaped, he was disposed of by him. Death Mask did not think it was a big deal, and did not even report it to Xiao Ming. So Xiao Ming did not know that Voldemort was dead, and it was impossible for him to tell Dumbledore and others. Old Dumbledore knew the existence of Horcruxes and thought that Voldemort had not died, so he had been actively looking for and destroying Horcruxes in the next few years. In the summer of 1996, he found Marvolo Gaunt's ring. This time he did not foolishly destroy it himself. After all, there was a ready-made thug in the school, the right guard of the leader. Before, when Xiao Ming told him about the Horcruxes, Dumbledore knew that the right guard of the leader could collect the Horcruxes without damage. Then there is no need to destroy the original treasure. So he gave the ring to the leader's right guard to exorcise the demon, and also avoided the fate of being attacked by the Horcrux in the original book. It's strange to say that in the original book, Dumbledore destroyed the ring with the sword of Gryffindor, and was hit by the curse of Voldemort on the ring, leaving only about a year of life. The other Horcruxes were almost all destroyed by Harry Potter and his friends. But Harry and his friends were unscathed. Given the gap in strength between old Dumbledore and them, such a different result is also drunk. I can only say that the power of the plot is so strong. In addition, one of the 3 deathly hallows hidden in this ring, the Resurrection Stone, fell into Xiao Ming's hands in the form of a space prop. After being blessed by space, the function of the Resurrection Stone is completely different, allowing the reincarnation to use it to resurrect a designated dead plot character. Good stuff. Keep it first. In the summer of 1997, the Order of the Phoenix found Slytherin's locket. It was also handed over to Xiao Ming to deal with. Only the last Horcrux, the snake Nagini, has never been found. Even most people don't know it exists. The life of the snake is very interesting. It was originally a female blood-cursed beastman, Maledictus. Because of the blood curse inherited from the maternal side of the family, it can switch between human and snake states at will. It looks very much like Animagus, but blood-cursed beastmen will eventually become animals completely. Back then, she also intervened in the Grindelwald incident. Later, she completely turned into a big snake and somehow mixed with Voldemort. It is said that when the blood-cursed beastman completely becomes a beast, it no longer has memories. But it still has a very high IQ. In the original book, it can even set a trap to murder Harry Potter, and it almost succeeded. It is definitely not comparable to normal snakes. During the Battle of Azkaban, for safety reasons, Voldemort did not dare to take Nagini with him. He left it in the wild forest waiting for his summons. Unexpectedly, Voldemort's soul was taken away by Death Mask, and finally failed to return to Nagini. Nagini lived in the forest until she died of old age. By then, Xiao Ming had already left this world. If it were a normal Horcrux, it would be difficult to hide it completely due to the remnants of powerful black magic and the fact that Voldemort's soul fragments would occasionally jump out to cause trouble. But Nagini is a living creature, and a very intelligent one. It can sense that all other soul fragments of Voldemort are dead, and it hides its whereabouts in a low-key manner. In addition, because of its relatively strong soul, Voldemort's soul fragments could not show up and make trouble, which allowed it to live to the end of its life. The whole plot ended inexplicably. Unfortunately, Dumbledore didn't know about this. He spent almost the rest of his life looking for the last Horcrux. But he never found it. It can't be said that he died of depression, but he didn't live a very comfortable life. However, compared with the ending of his death in the original book, this is already very good. Xiao Ming stayed in this world until 2000, when the witch's rejuvenation potion was completely analyzed and he could give birth at will. However, in the following years, without Voldemort and the Death Eaters, he lived a very comfortable life. Harry Potter and his friends no longer bear huge pressure with deep hatred. They enjoy their teenage life like a group of normal children. The biggest thing is to fall in love. Maybe it is due to the open atmosphere of European society. These kids like me today and I like her tomorrow, it's just a random matchmaking. Xiao Ming wanted to tell them that any relationship that is not for the purpose of marriage is hooliganism, but seeing their serious expressions, he was embarrassed to say it out loud. But these kids took it too seriously and always came to the leader's right guard, an outsider, to judge. Xiao Ming was forced to flee in a hurry and never care about these trivial matters in Hogwarts again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1496. In the year 2000 in the Harry Potter world, the protagonists are in their 20s. Harry Potter and Ginny Weasley have basically established a romantic relationship. Since he did not participate in the Battle of Azkaban and did not kill Voldemort himself, Harry in this life is just a relatively outstanding Hogwarts graduate. And because the world is basically peaceful, he did not become an Auror like in the original book, but fought on the Quidditch field with his girlfriend Ginny. They have become a well-known golden partner. Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger got together, which surprised Xiao Ming a little. I didn't expect that Ron, who was single-celled, could be favored by Hermione, who was a top student. Could this be the so-called good girls always like bad boys? But if we talk about bad boys, Draco Malfoy actually meets the standard. Ron is just a boy who has grown up bad. I can only say that Hermione really has a very kind heart. She is doing charity. Why didn't I meet him when I was studying? Just kidding. In fact, among the three protagonists, Ron is a very outstanding, standard Gryffindor little lion. It is very different from Harry, who is a mixture of Gryffindor and Slytherin. Hermione is more like a Ravenclaw scholar. Ron has a good talent in magic, worthy of being a descendant of a pure-blood family. He is currently studying hard to become an excellent Auror. In school, Ron was also an excellent Quidditch goalkeeper. Harry and Ginny really hope that he can join the team and form an iron triangle. However, After graduation, Hermione became an employee of the Ministry of Magic and worked in the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures, dedicated to improving the treatment of house elves. In order to help his girlfriend, he chose to become an Auror. This shows that his position in the family will be precarious in the future. In fact, Ron is unwilling to see his sister and Harry being affectionate all day long. Brothers are like this, and they always have a special problem with their brother-in-law. After the fall of Voldemort, the Ministry of Magic relaxed its management. Lucius and Narcissa were released after being imprisoned for several months. Draco finally did not become an orphan and was able to return to Hogwarts to complete his studies. Although the Malfoy family suffered a lot of losses, there were still 3,000 nails in the broken ship. They could still live a well-off life. If they managed it well, they might have a chance to recover. After experiencing ups and downs and the coldness of the world, Draco finally saw through the faces of some people in the Holy 28 clans. He completely gave up the nonsense pure-blood concept. After graduation, he joined the Department of International Magical Cooperation. He planned to regain the pride of the Malfoy family in this field. Although there have always been many female classmates pursuing him, it is a pity that he is so focused on his career that he has no time to play the game of dating. Who would have thought that Draco, who works wholeheartedly, is so handsome that he attracts more girls? So much so that he is envied and hated by most boys of the same age, even those who already have girlfriends, including Harry and Ron. Probably only Neville didn't have such thoughts. After the Battle of Azkaban, Neville Longbottom was finally reunited with his parents. Happiness came too suddenly, and Neville almost became insane again. Frank Longbottom and Alice Longbottom both participated in the Battle of Azkaban, and personally captured one of their enemies, Rodolphus Lestrange. It was also a relief. After the war, the two made their identities public and received the Order of Merlin. While enjoying family happiness with their baby son, they also helped Dumbledore find the Horcrux. They put in a lot of effort. The happiest thing for the two of them was that their son had a promising future and found an outstanding girlfriend, Luna Lovegood. Neville and Luna had the same illness, and both had suffered mental damage because of their parents' affairs. And they were both slowly cured by the right guard of the leader. This fate brought the two together during their time at Hogwarts. After graduation, they also worked in the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures of the Ministry of Magic. However, the two of them did not participate in Hermione's action to treat house elves well, but were committed to protecting endangered magical creatures. The last little friend, Zhang Qiu, who is also of Chinese descent and has a good relationship with the leader's right guard, dated Harry for a period of time in the 5th grade, just like the original book. Later, they broke up because of personality differences. After that, she never had a boyfriend again, but instead concentrated on helping the leader's right guard run the Yunujian shop. Xiaoming estimated that she might have been influenced by the Book of Jin Dada, who he moved to this world. After graduation, Zhang Qiu devoted herself to promoting the profound Chinese culture in Europe. So Xiaoming gave her a part of his share in the Yunujian shop. It was considered to be funding her activities. After Voldemort was defeated, Dumbledore no longer needed to hide ninjutsu and martial arts. So he opened 2 more courses at Hogwarts to teach young magicians. The closer you are to the water, the sooner you get the moon. The friends who often interact with Xiaoming are all fortunate to become the first batch of students. After that, the matter slowly fermented and began to affect the magic world. However, the process was very slow. Even in the new century, there was no significant change. I don't know what will happen in the future. Perhaps it was the advantage of genes. In the practice of ninjutsu and martial arts, Zhang Qiu showed more outstanding talents than other friends. For a time, they were very jealous. Considering that it would be a little strange for a little girl to use Buddhist techniques. Xiaoming also secretly taught her some other skills. For example, Han Xiaoying Inu sword technique, Peach Blossom Island's Luying divine sword palm, etc., and also taught her some basic knowledge of Kimen numerology. This stuff is used to fool Westerners and will definitely make them lose their way. It's interesting to think about it. The above is the growth of several friends who have a good relationship with Xiaoming. As for other students, they are all idle people, and Xiaoming is too lazy to pay attention to them. Among adults, Xiaoming is more concerned about only two old friends, Remus Lupin and Sirius Black. He has no interest in old Deng. The two of them cooperated seamlessly, and the Black family and the Silver Wolf family helped each other, supported each other, and learned from each other's strengths. By 2000, their power had become extremely considerable. Even the Minister of Magic Fudge had to be in awe. Fortunately, Sirius had no intention of entering politics, and Lupin was a minority race, so they would not threaten Fudge's position as minister. Otherwise, Fudge would have to consider whether he should suppress them. By the way, Lupin was still taken down by Nymphatora Tonks. It's true that when a man pursues a woman, it's difficult for her to pursue him. The age difference between the two is not a problem at all. Now, they even have a child. Only Sirius has been single, and Xiaoming can't figure out what's going on with him. Could it be that he is like Dumbledore, who doesn't look like him? Until he left this world, Xiaoming didn't get the correct answer. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1497. In the world of Harry Potter, Xiaoming has gained a lot. In addition to successfully analyzing the witch's rejuvenation potion, 7 or 8 years is enough for him to study the magic of this world. It should be said that the magic of this world is still quite practical. For example, the traceless extension spell can expand the internal space without changing the appearance. Through this spell, Xiaoming can greatly expand the two spaces of Guangmingding and Kunlun. And it is an infinite expansion. Originally, these two spaces were only a few thousand cubic meters. In the past few years, Xiaoming has expanded them by more than 100 times. As long as there is magic power, Xiaoming can continue to expand the space. After thousands of years, it may be enough to fit a solar system. However, Xiaoming has always been satisfied with what is enough, and it is also in time to expand it when it is needed. As for the deeper improvement of magic, it requires long-term efforts and a certain amount of talent, and Xiaoming is not interested in that. The memories obtained from several masters have already allowed him to reach a very high level. It doesn't mean that Xiaoming is satisfied and will not continue to practice. It means that he will no longer go all out to study. But like treating other supernatural powers, Xiaoming will arrange several 7-star shadow clones to do normal scientific research work. Because of Mr. Ollivander, Xiaoming has surpassed the world's top level in the field of wand making. Of course, this is also because of his own characteristics. Others make wands and build wands, Xiaoming grows wands. There is a fundamental difference. At present, even though Ollivander is just at the entry level, some of his bold and reasonable guesses have been quietly turned into reality by Xiaoming. If the wand made by Ollivander is 20-30% stronger than the previous wand, Xiaoming's wand will be 200-300% stronger. Compared with the wand made by hand polishing, the wand grown naturally is indeed one in the sky and the other on the ground. Therefore, Xiaoming dare not let his wand flow into this world. Otherwise, I don't know how huge the waves will be caused. It is said that Ollivander will make his achievements public to the wizarding world in 2000. He will strive for a higher status among wand masters. Xiaoming does not want to cause trouble for him. In his spare time, Xiaoming compared the wands in the Harry Potter world with the long stick-like wands in the Lord of the Rings world. The wands in the Lord of the Rings world can also be used as physical weapons. There is no problem in using them to hit people directly, which also conforms to the characteristics of the wizards in that world. The ones in the Harry Potter world are more convenient to carry and hide, and can be taken out at any time to smother people. They are not as conspicuous as long sticks. Of course, there is an essential difference between the wizards in the two worlds. In the Harry Potter world, wizards are just humans who have mastered magic. The wizards in the Lord of the Rings are all Maya, equivalent to demigods, and are naturally powerful. The two are not suitable for comparison. Xiaoming is just thinking about it when he is free. Over the years, Xiaoming has collected a lot of DNA from various magical animals, greatly enriching the gene pool of the insect-human race. Because he is the king of the underworld, he cannot kill at will, so he collects only marginal materials. If you are lucky, you can get some corpses and eat them. However, Xiaoming cannot spend money to collect corpses. Because if he does that, someone will definitely hunt magical creatures to sell to him, and he will also bear the sin for this. I didn't kill Bo Ren, but Bo Ren died because of me. No buying and selling, no killing. Since Xiaoming knows this truth, he can't pretend not to know. He can't deceive the soul gem even if he pretends to be deaf and dumb. Xiaoming has seen some novels, such as the novels of Waxia Honghuang, in which the top gods and saints often use conspiracies and tricks, play all kinds of power tactics, and lie shamelessly, which makes Xiaoming very scratching. The story is really good, but, how to say it? In Xiaoming's opinion, if the saints have such character, they don't deserve to be called saints. No matter how strong their abilities are, they are not worthy of respect. Just like Xiaoming was beaten to death by Sun Wukong in the world of Journey to the West. Even with his current S-level ability, Xiaoming still doesn't think he can beat Monkey King after thinking about it carefully. It is possible that he could survive by chance with multiple bodies and souls, as long as Monkey King doesn't go all out and hunt him down. But even if he can't beat him, Xiaoming still doesn't like Sun Wukong's character. Well, he is actually a monkey, not a human. But he doesn't like him. No matter how high his fighting ability is, it is not a reason for him to grab good things when he sees them. The golden hoop, the full body armor, the peaches, the Lejun golden pill, none of them belong to him, and he has a robber character. During junior high school, Xiaoming encountered several incidents of being bullied and robbed of money by senior students. He felt involved, so it is understandable that he hates robbers. I want to emphasize that there is no intention to belittle those books and authors here, including Journey to the West. After all, the authors are also human beings, and their works only use gods and saints to allude to the real world of human beings. Probably. Those works are all very good and wonderful works, which make people unable to put them down. Xiaoming just doesn't like that worldview from a personal perspective. Or he doesn't like some of the characters in it. It's no different from the audience watching a movie not liking a certain villain. The topic has gone a bit off topic. Let's get back to what Xiaoming gained in this reincarnation world. The main plot of the Harry Potter world has changed a lot, however, since the energy level of the world itself is not too high, the source energy of the space reward is just so-so. Xiaoming piled all the rewards on the yellow source energy tree, making it grow from 3.2 meters to nearly 5 meters high. It is not bad, Xiaoming is satisfied. The most interesting harvest is the resurrection stone. It is quite different. Ordinary reincarnations, if they want to take things out of the reincarnation world, they have to accept the exploitation of the reincarnation space. They have to complete the task and pay the price. Fortunately, the items taken out will be certified by the space. The original minor problems will be repaired, so that the reincarnation can use them with confidence. On the other hand, Xiaoming's identity is a diamond VIP, and his treatment is equivalent to that of the plot character. He doesn't have to pay for anything, but he won't get the certification of the space. If there is a problem with the use of the item, he has to bear it all by himself. This time, the space helped him to certify this resurrection stone for the first time, and he didn't know what it meant. Xiaoming once asked Qingxinglu, but didn't get a positive answer. Just ask the VIP to explore on their own. This is very interesting. Xiaoming plans to find an opportunity to try it out in the future. So far, the reincarnation mission on October 30th has ended. Xiaoming, who was laughing, playing, having dinner and chatting with his teammates in the private space Huaguashan, did not know at this time that his otaku life would soon usher in an unexpected change. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1498. Looking out the window, no light can be seen in any direction. Only this tiny exploration ship is floating in the dark and cold universe. It can't even feel itself floating, because there is no external reference. Huang Xiaoming, who has transformed into a double-forked Scarface in the spaceship, is upset. "Oh my god, don't do this to me. I just want to see the cosmic civilization. This is not okay." If a person is unlucky, it's really a toothache when drinking cold water. Fortunately, it's me. If it were the real owner, how could he live here? What happened? Let's talk about it one by one. On November 3, 6666 of the Pangu calendar, the Sheneng 2 spacecraft, now it can be called the Sheneng 2 fleet, welcomed a small civilian spacecraft. There is no doubt that this small spacecraft comes from the Scarface family of the Crazy Dragon Galaxy. There are only 3 or 5 lizardmen in the spacecraft. They explained their purpose to Captain Xincu. At this time, the ransom price of Sir Double Scarface has not been negotiated yet. But the general direction has been determined. It will be finalized sooner or later. To put it nicely, these lizardmen came here to serve Double Scarface. After the deal is done, they will take Sir back to the Crazy Dragon Galaxy on the small spaceship. To put it bluntly, they actually came to investigate and check. Who knows if the Pangu people will do anything to Double Scarface? So, they came here in advance and planned to check it out. Make sure they will not bring back a time bomb or a traitor. Of course, it is not too late to do this kind of thing after the conditions are negotiated and they accept Double Scarface. The lizardmen insisted on doing it now, and there was another purpose, which was to send someone to see the level of Pangu Star's space technology with their own eyes. Knowing yourself and the enemy will ensure victory in 100 battles. As a result, what they saw was Sheneng 2, except for the spaceship that Double Scarface brought before. None of them can represent the level of Pangu Star's space technology. This is also the reason why our negotiators agreed to let them send people over. Anyway, the other party can't see the real situation. If Sheneng is still the broken ship that the New Han Kingdom used when it set out, it would be embarrassing to show it to the lizardmen. Not only will it reveal the bottom card, but it will also be looked down upon by others. Fortunately, the original body of the Sheneng 2 spacecraft is the Avalon immigration spacecraft from the reincarnation world of space passengers. The Shen family has compared it with the Lizardman's spacecraft. Except for the space jump engine, the other parts have their own advantages. The whole spacecraft has a beautiful shape and a very high level of technology. Letting the lizardmen see it will not embarrass Pangu Star. Moreover, if we agree to an excessive request from the other party, we can be more confident when we put forward conditions. 2 lizardmen boarded the Sheneng 2 spacecraft and lived with Huang Xiaoming's incarnation of the double-forked Scarface, and they never left. They held various small instruments to check him all day long. If the Pangu Star side really did something, they would probably find out. That would be passive. However, the fact that Xiaoming, an S-level master, a civil servant in the underworld, and a dragon warrior, personally transformed into a double-forked Scarface was far beyond the technological level of the Crazy Dragon Star to detect. However, this also reminded Xiaoming. Don't treat other people as fools. Don't use some small tricks. For example, put bone worm on these two lizardmen. That kind of trick may not be able to hide from others. If it is exposed, not only will his plan to sneak into the Crazy Dragon Galaxy fail, but it will also affect the relationship between the other party and Pangu Star. Xiaoming, who knows nothing about the political situation in the universe, does not want to cause trouble for his home planet. If he uses tricks, he must use the most advanced tricks. Even if the other party finds out, I am afraid he will have to weigh it carefully. Should people with such abilities be provoked? During this period, Xiaoming deliberately missed the mission in the reincarnation space. Because the lizardman and Xiaoming are inseparable, if he suddenly disappears for a while and reappears, it is really impossible to explain. On November 11, the two sides successfully negotiated, and Huang Xiaoming boarded the small spaceship from the Crazy Dragon Star, left Chengdu, and also left the solar system. I wanted to sneak into the Crazy Dragon Galaxy just like this. I never expected that although the Scarface family redeemed him, they had no intention of taking him home. They exiled him directly. The Scarface family redeemed Double Fork Scarface because they didn't want to lose face in front of the major forces in the Crazy Dragon Galaxy. After all, the knight is also a nobleman, and he has been a prisoner on Pangu Star. It's not easy to say. But Double Fork messed up the matter, and the family didn't want him to come back and continue to discredit his family. According to the reports of the lizardmen sent to Chengdu, Double Fork Scarface did not obtain any intelligence and did not grow much. The family finally decided to exile him. If Huang Xiaoming knew this was the reason, he would probably cry in the toilet. Previously, in order to pretend that there were no flaws, all his behaviors strictly conformed to the habits of the original knight. But he ignored the issues of growth and change. From the family's perspective, a person who has experienced such a big thing should have grown or changed. Failure is not a big deal, knowing shame and then being brave, and making progress is the most important thing. As a result, this 17th heir has made no progress at all. It's really a rotten wood that can't be carved. Simply exile the ball. Xiaoming completely dug a hole and buried himself. It must be said that even though he has become an S-level master and his strength is extremely strong, his social experience is still at the level of a geek. In the small spaceship sent by the Scarface family, there is also an even smaller micro-spaceship similar to a probe ship. Xiaoming has been arranged to live here. After the small spaceship made several space jumps, on November 16, without saying a word, the micro-spaceship and Double Fork Scarface were launched. The destination was a dark area with almost nothing, and then they turned around and teleported away without any intention of staying. Clean and neat. Because the launch speed was very fast, and Xiaoming was still pretending to be innocent at the time, he did not react for a while. In a blink of an eye, he was left alone. Those lizardmen did not even announce their exile to him. It was only through a video recorded in the probe ship that Xiaoming learned what was going on. If he had known this, he would not have pretended. But then again, Xiaoming had seen this place of exile in Double Fork's memory. He also had a little interest in it. It was a huge space of space in the universe that stretched for billions of light years, and there was not even a star in it. It is estimated that there may be some gas or asteroids that drifted far away. More importantly, there is not even a transit station for the pan-universe transmission network here, which means that this area has no value for development. So this place has become a place of exile for criminals of the Crazy Dragon Galaxy civilization and several nearby civilizations, and a troublesome garbage disposal plant. It is equivalent to the Meteor Street in the world of Hunter x Hunter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1499. This area of the universe stretches for billions of light years, and there are definitely no galaxies and almost no stars. It is generally called the void land. It is actually not uncommon in the universe. Because the matter in the universe is not evenly distributed, some places are denser and some places are looser. At the same time, due to gravity, dense areas with larger mass will also attract surrounding matter and become more and more dense. In loose areas with smaller mass, various substances will be sucked away and become more and more empty. Over time, large and small voids will appear. Of course, just like galaxies are large and small, these areas are also large and small. This piece of void land near the Crazy Dragon galaxy spans billions of light years and is considered to be relatively large. The official name is Long Aotean Void, because this piece of void separates more than a dozen powerful cosmic civilizations. It makes it difficult for them to conquer each other. This seems to be a coincidence, but it is actually an inevitable phenomenon. Since it is safer to back up to the void land, it is easier to give birth to a powerful cosmic civilization around the void land. This is also common sense. Among these dozen civilizations, the three most powerful ones have reached the multi-galaxy level, namely the Lizardman civilization, the Jade Elf civilization, and the Six-Winged Wingman civilization. Lizardmen call themselves mad dragons, Jade Elves are arrogant, Six-Winged Wingmen regard themselves as angels, so Long Aotean Void is named after this. However, within the Mad Dragon civilization, this void is usually called the Dragon Dung Pond. It means that the Mad Dragon excretes all the garbage here. So there is a classic curse in the Mad Dragon civilization, eat shit. Its meaning is to curse others to be exiled, which is really different from when people from other civilizations say this. Double Fork Scarface is the 17th heir of the Scarface family, and the relationship between him and other heirs is naturally not very harmonious. This sentence is often cursed at each other, and no one expected it to come true. Because in fact, noble children like them are unlikely to receive such severe punishment. Even if they commit serious crimes such as murder and arson that deserve to lose their heads, the family will deal with them, usually by depriving them of their rights and raising them like pigs. They are reluctant to even put them under house arrest. If you want to be exiled, you really have to make a big mistake. To be honest, the mistake made by Xuancha this time is not enough to get you exiled. Therefore, Xiaoming once suspected that his impersonation was discovered. But after thinking about it carefully, he felt that it was probably not the case. If he was really discovered, the most likely approach of the other party would be to control him and then use various methods to obtain information. First courtesy and then force, torture and interrogation, and finally a beauty trap or something. How can you exile right away? Xiaoming estimated that the Scarface family exiled Xuancha Scarface for other reasons. Maybe they wanted him to make meritorious contributions while guilty and explore the situation in the Dragon Dung Pond. He checked the supply situation in this exploration ship. If it was Xuancha himself, he would probably only survive for half a year. However, the family deliberately installed a hibernation chamber in the spacecraft. The meaning is probably to let him hibernate for a long time. Wake up once in a while and observe the situation. If there is nothing to find, then hibernate again. Until there is enough discovery to atone for the sin, then you can hibernate and return. It can be regarded as a meritorious service. But no lizardman took the initiative to tell Double Fork Scarface. If he didn't think of this, he would have to live here for more than half a year and then slowly starve to death. Of course, the technological level of the Mad Dragon civilization is quite good. If Double Fork can pick up some garbage in space, such as asteroids, ice, or the bodies and equipment of other exiles. After technical processing, those garbage can still make some living supplies for the lizardmen. However, in such a vast void, it is almost like looking for a needle in a haystack to pick up garbage, and the possibility is extremely low. Xiaoming can imagine that if it is Double Fork Scarface himself, there is no way to survive unless a miracle happens. But it is different for himself. This kind of small thing does not hurt Xiaoming at all. It can't even trap him. If it is too boring, you can leave parasites, clones, or mind beasts here and go back to Shannon number 2 to play. Come and see when you are free. But his intuition vaguely reminds him not to leave. As long as the real body continues to stay here, he may encounter some magical things. So he obeyed obediently. At the beginning, Huang Xiaoming released his mental power to scanning a distance of nearly 1 light year. Except for a small amount of gas molecules, he didn't see even a small ice cube. In fact, the efficiency of mental power scanning is not as good as the technology detector built into the detection chip. Therefore, Huang Xiaoming spent more time playing games. Anyway, there is nothing in reality, so just release a mind beast to watch. He thought about summoning Xiao Xiao and combining with a dragon warrior, so that he could definitely scan farther. But his intuition rejected his idea again. Xiaoming has always believed in his intuition. Since his intuition suggests so, just waste it? Anyway, it really has no effect on him. Just do what he should do. The worst outcome is just to sacrifice Huang Xiaoming's body, which is not a big deal. Just create another one when you have time. However, things in the world are often unexpected. On December 7th, a colorful beam of light suddenly appeared and captured the detection chip. Xiaoming actually recognized this colorful beam of light. Isn't this the artifact of Asgard in the Marvel world, Bifrost? The Bifrost is also a technology and device used for instant teleportation. The Aesir use it to instantly teleport anyone or anything in any corner of the universe to Asgard. And vice versa. Of course, this teleportation can also be affected by powerful energy. If the Aesir rob others of their things at will, don't blame them for counter-attacking. I don't know who has such a great ability to bring this thing into reality. As for whether it is the invention of a certain civilization in reality, Xiaoming did not speculate in that direction. The power of this rainbow bridge is too strong, far beyond Xiaoming's imagination. After being caught by it, Huang Xiaoming's body was separated separately, wearing a flawless white robe, as if standing barefoot on the clouds. This is not the most powerful. The most amazing thing is that Silver Xiaoming, who is in Pangu's body, and Green Xiaoming, the insect king in the private world, are also standing together in white robes. Red Xiaoming's body is lying at the feet of several people, but his soul is still in the underworld, protected by the soul gem, and cannot be caught by the rainbow bridge. Only the body was teleported. It seems that the rainbow bridge is not yet able to snatch people from the soul gem. In that special world without supernatural energy, Orange Xiaoming, who turned into a cactus, also escaped. My Master Acha's reincarnation disc can also be unaffected by the rainbow bridge. It's really awesome. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1500. It must be an extremely powerful force to be able to affect all of a person's bodies and souls through one of his bodies and souls. So far, Xiaoming has encountered this level of power twice. The first time was when he was beaten to death by Sun Wukong with a stick in the world of Journey to the West. The second time was the Phoenix Force in the world of X-Men. It was okay in Journey to the West, Xiaoming just felt that Sun Wukong's stick was no less than the Phoenix Force. In X-Men, it was only one body and soul that were attacked by the Phoenix Force, and as a result, all of Xiaoming's bodies and souls were killed. Fortunately, it was in the reincarnation world. Although he was killed, the reincarnation space could resurrect him in a blink of an eye. But today is different. This time I encountered such a powerful force in reality. Moreover, they just teleported Xiaoming here, and it seems that they didn't intend to kill him. But you can't pin your fate on the other party's moral level. Fortunately, Red Xiaoming's soul is protected by the underworld, and orange Xiaoming is also protected by that magical world. They can both withstand this power. I won't die. After paying attention and feeling it, Xiaoming discovered a magical phenomenon. The power of the Rainbow Bridge did not only transport Xiaoming's body and soul to this special place. It also took back all the power he had in the real world. Whether it was clones, mind beasts, parasites, space coordinates, or even the Zerg with their own marks, all of these were forcibly taken back. They did not take them away, but only took them back into Xiaoming's body. The living Zerg and Zerg human subordinates were taken into Guangmingding and Kunlun. These two spaces happened to be cast with the traceless extension spell by Xiaoming, and the space was very large. Only those subordinates and clones in Xiaoming's private world were not taken back. Because there was no need at all. The reason why the private world is called the private world is that the world is only closely connected to Xiaoming himself, not in the real world. This surprised Xiaoming. Without these clones, he seemed unable to return to Pangustar, including Shannon number 2. Without a game console, he couldn't even play games on the Magic Planet and the Martial Arts Planet. Unless the Rainbow Bridge would send him back. Otherwise, it would be a big trouble. There is a whole family over there counting on him. Others are fine, but my sister will definitely cry like a big cat. Bridge bean sack. Xiaoming suddenly thought that it was not that serious. He also has the identity of a civil servant in the underworld/Quafu Hades. Quafu Star is recognized by the Soul Gem and belongs to Xiaoming, the Hades. His ghost messenger clones wandering around on Quafu Star have not been forcibly taken back. Xiaoming breathed a sigh of relief, and now he was relieved. Even in this mysterious place, Xiaoming can still feel Quafu Star, and there is always a way back there. Since he can go back to Quafu Star, it is not a problem to go back to Pangu Star through the connection of the game Light Brain Nine-Tailed Fox. It's just that Shannon 2 is a little troublesome. Fortunately, it is still in the solar system, and it can go back using the space jump engine of the spacecraft. Thanks to the Soul Gem. Xiaoming thought about it and immediately thought of the core time gem of the reincarnation space. Everyone is an infinite gem. Through the reincarnation space, he should be able to return to Pangu Star. This is not difficult at all. As long as he finds the reincarnators when doing the task and gives them some items engraved with his own space mark. As long as they take out those items in reality, Xiaoming can return to Pangu Star. Just now, there is really no need to make a fuss. Fortunately, no one saw it. Just thinking about it, a fist-sized figure flew in front of Xiaoming from far away. It was a little elf flapping butterfly wings. Although small, it is also the image of a little beauty. Welcome to Tian, hey, the elf only said half a sentence and then shut up. Probably scared by the 3 people and a lying body in front of her. The elf has always greeted newcomers one by one. This is the first time she has encountered such a situation. She is a little confused. After a while, the elf turned into countless light spots and dissipated, and then the light spots gathered together again, turning into a young woman wearing a white robe and stepping on a flying sword. I'm sorry for what happened just now. Welcome to Tian, hey, well, this woman turned out to be just like the elf just now, as if she was cast with a spell of immobilization and couldn't move. Xiaoming didn't say much, waiting to watch her performance. The woman didn't disappear instantly. After a while, she recovered, smiled, and clasped her fists to Xiaoming. A ball of white mist appeared behind her, and the woman stepped on the flying sword and flew back into the mist. What does this mean? Should I follow in? Xiaoming was still thinking so, and before he could move his legs, he saw another person coming out of the mist. This person was wearing a Taoist robe, with white hair and a childlike face. He didn't step on the flying sword, but rode a lion with 9 heads. Xiaoming felt a headache. Oh my god, are you doing high-level cosplay? Don't think I don't know that the nine-headed lion is the mount of Taigenren. Before Xiaoming could open his mouth to complain, the old man rushed in front of Xiaoming and said hurriedly, "Quick, let me see, it's true, tisk tisk tisk." Xiaoming was so angry that he thought, "What are you looking at? Can't you explain it clearly first?" But he didn't dare to say it, because he felt an extremely strong pressure from the old man. This old man has the ability to kill him. Even the woman before was 3 times stronger than him. Maybe this old man is really Taigenren. Isn't it courting death to complain about him? What a coincidence, Yuan Sheng come and chat with your old friend. He said this to his lion, which is also called Jutio Yuan Sheng. After saying that, he waved the whisk in his hand, and several shadows flew out from Xiaoming. Landed among the crowd. It was the tenants in Xiaoming's soul, and the little fox Maomoer. Maomoer and Xiao Sheneng actually have work to do. They are both Xiaoming's mind beasts and game servers for many players. They were also sent here by Rainbow Bridge today. Those gamers and insect humans under Xiaoming's command were probably shaken enough. The game was being played excitingly, and suddenly the network was disconnected. He is probably cursing at the moment. I hope I haven't interrupted too many important things. At this point, Xiaoming has no choice. He can only wait until he understands the situation here and then go back to make up for it. If he can still go back. Several ancient mythical beasts, except for Mao Mao who looks a little confused, the other few are really old acquaintances. The 9 lion heads all came over and chatted with the others enthusiastically. The scene is a bit weird. These tenants are actually artificial intelligence of the ancient alien race. Could this 9-headed lion be one too? Then how did it get here? What is the situation with this Taigenren? Xiaoming held his forehead with his hand. It's a bit messy, let me comb it.